Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 10th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see the weak frontal system pushing into the Pacific Northwest. We got some cold air behind it. We got a trough gearing up. It's going to set up shop here on the west coast of North America. It's going to bring some thunderstorm chances over the next few days. We'll dive into those details. We're also going to take a first look at some of the fire weather and some of the fire weather danger that will be accompanying that as we go through the summer months. I know a lot of people want to know about that, so stay tuned for that. Taking a look at lightning strikes over the last 24 hours. Not a strike to speak of here across Pacific Northwest, but that is going to change over the next 2 to 3 days. Looking at Seattle, 70 degrees, no precipitation measurable anyway. 4 days of trace rainfall amounts here, so we're about 6 tenths of an inch below normal here to start off the month of May after a fairly dry April as well. Portland, 78 degrees, no measurable precipitation just yet. It's going to change over the next few days though, and about 7 tenths of an inch below normal so far. You can see the light rainfall kind of moving in here, man. This frontal system does not pack much of a punch. Light rainfall though reported at Quileute here in the last hour. And if you want to help support the channel, probably the Patreon page is the best way to do it. And you can go to the community tab and send me any kind of weather media that you see out there. Anything you take with your smartphone, you can download the Patreon app there and go ahead and log in, and you can send me anything you get. So much appreciated. Now, strong thunderstorms possible Saturday. This has been extended down into Idaho as well, but I'm just kind of showing you that it does include Butte, Helena, Montana, and mainly winds, some dangerous lightning, and some brief heavy rainfall with these stronger storms is the main threat. And as we go on to Sunday, the showers return for eastern Washington, 10 to 20% chance of thunderstorm showers increasing during the day. Another great graphic here from Spokane National Weather Service updated yesterday afternoon. Here we go today. Kind of see how that's been extended back down in towards Idaho. And again, this is mainly a wind threat. They don't have any probabilities for hail or tornado with that. So yeah, mainly a wind, lightning, heavy rain threat here across portions of Idaho and Montana. And this does come back towards some portions of eastern Oregon, Washington. And by the time we go towards Sunday, you can kind of see it starts to include more of the area, and same thing for Monday as well. I'll show you the models on that here in a moment. But if we take a look at the European, you'll clearly see this trough setting up, and it's going to move a lot of its energy down into Oregon and California, and that'll be reflected in some of these precipitation amounts. But this will destabilize things enough on Monday that we might even see a thunderstorm across some of western Washington or western Oregon. More on that here in a moment. And then as we go off in towards next week, and kind of see this cat and mouse game. How far is this ridge going to extend back to the east here? What are these lobes going to be doing? What are these troughs going to be swinging at us? What are they going to bring? Yeah, we'll continue to watch that. We're not looking at any big warm up right now, but we'll continue to look at that here over the next few days. Now, looking at the lightning flash density potential, again, kind of driving home the point. This is where the threat area is mainly for today, western Montana and Idaho. As we go on in through Sunday morning, you see again some maybe another round of thunderstorms there for Idaho and maybe the Idaho Panhandle on the day on Sunday, maybe including Spokane. You see how things start to destabilize a little bit here as we go through the day Sunday. And maybe even western Oregon there on Sunday evening. So you got to watch this stuff here. And again, maybe eastern Washington. And then as we go through the day Monday, the upper level low is going to be right about here. Oregon, California border. And that's going to destabilize things enough where we could get some additional thunderstorm activity here on Monday. And that's where I froze last night's European model. You can kind of see that lightning flash density potential does include much of Washington, Oregon, and some of southwest BC as well. Now, if we take a look at the Doppler radar over the next 60 hours, this is about where we are right about now or so. That frontal system kind of swinging through the Washington coast, up across northwest Washington, losing some of its steam as it moves towards the Cascades. But you can also see what's going on out here as we go through the afternoon hours. Some of these stronger storms, what we already talked about, is kind of driving home that point. And then we go on in through the afternoon and evening tonight. You see some of this activity here across eastern Washington. So the North American model has a little bit better chance as we go through this afternoon and evening for thunderstorms for eastern Washington. So we scroll on in through Sunday morning, see the showers up across the eastern portions. You can see the spin in the atmosphere right off the Oregon coastline there. As we go on in through the day Sunday, look at some of these storms just kind of develop and blossom across eastern Oregon, moving up in eastern Washington again under the gun, western Montana and Idaho. And some of these cells, you can't completely rule out a couple lightning strikes here as you go through the day on Sunday. You can see some of this activity moving up across the Portland Metro, up towards the I-5 corridor in southwest Washington. We scroll on in through, we're going through Sunday night into Monday morning here, and then who knows what's the NAM's going to show after that. But that's when the European kind of shows things destabilizing or remain unstable here across some of the region. So if we take a look at total precipitation in inches, I'm going to scroll through here fairly quickly, and we go on in through the day. Saturday, there's some of the thunderstorm activity east of the Cascades, and you can see for places like Seattle, we're through about Sunday afternoon here, and you're only looking at 6-7 tenths of an inch of rain, a little bit more maybe for Portland. As you can see, the bulk of that precipitation moving into Oregon and Northern California. You see some of these thunderstorms out here could be heavy precipitation producers: Southeast Washington, Northeast Oregon, Idaho Panhandle. So gotta watch out for that. In fact, I'm going to scroll back through there and see when those heavier amounts are coming. It looks like on Sunday afternoon that starts, Sunday evening, and on through Monday morning here. So watch out for some of that. Could cause some localized flooding issues. But as we scroll off in towards, we're now off into Tuesday afternoon. You see Seattle only 11 hundredths of an inch of rain here, a tenth of an inch or so, and more across Oregon. The Willamette Valley getting a nice amount of rainfall here by the time we get towards Tuesday. Of course, closer to the proximity of that upper level low. Now, if we take a look at the extended forecast a little bit here, there's that upper level low that we've been talking about, and then the ridge tries to nose its way in there, but that trough not far away across Western Canada, and then another one swings down, kind of an inside slider with the ridge here out over the Pacific Northwest. We'll be watching those systems one by one as they get closer, and then you can kind of see the next troughing here, kind of keeping us a bit active here as we go on in towards the second half of May, and then maybe another ridge building in here. I've seen some of the models through the very extended forecast like this, kind of hinting at a ridge as we get towards the end of May. That would not be good for storm chasers out there, including me. But yeah, you can kind of see the ridge there and that troughing there across the Pacific Ocean, but that's so far out there, you don't want to really start to hang your hat on that. That's very low confidence, just a fantasy forecast right now, or a nightmare forecast, depending on what you want. Now, taking a look here at the artificial intelligence, again, kind of a mixed bag here on 15-day precipitation anomalies. So I'm going to show you the temperatures here, then we'll dive into what is coming with the fire weather forecast. So now looking at the daily 2-meter temperatures, this is for today. You can see mid-60s out there, some 80s though still. Another warm day for eastern Washington. Look at Boise, Idaho, Treasure Valley. It looks like you're going to be getting to the lower 90s there. Some warm temperatures across eastern Oregon. The further you go southwest and Oregon to the valley areas as well, nice and toasty. We go to Sunday, and you can see things cool down here at this upper level low around. Then by the time we go towards Monday, look at even Boise, Idaho, cooling down eastern Washington, kind of keeping things suppressed here across western Washington, western Oregon also. And we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You see no major warm up in store here, so we're going to still have some troughs around, but we'll be breaking that down. That is an extended forecast. Now, looking at percent of average precipitation for the last 365 days, we're getting into the fire weather stuff here now. You can see that there has been, most of the region here has been below normal. There is some of southern Oregon and a few areas here that have been above normal the last 365 days. But yeah, you can see western Washington, some of western Oregon have been quite a bit behind. And if we look at total precipitation here, you can see why it's easy to skew some of these numbers here, because if you're looking at percentages, if you only average a couple inches of rainfall and you get, 4 inches of rainfall, then you're looking at 200% of normal. But some of these areas that normally get huge amounts have gotten, substantially less. And you can kind of look at that closer if you want to zoom in on that or whatnot. But yeah, again, kind of east of the Cascades, you can see how they usually get less precipitation there. Now, total precipitation here over the last 365 days here. This is a total, not a percentage. This is the total precipitation there, 40 to 60 inches. You can kind of see would be across some of the higher terrain. The foothills of western Washington, you can see 20 to 40 for a lot of the Puget Sound and the Seattle Metro as well. And you see how they get much less there across the Columbia Basin, some of the east slopes of the Cascades. But if you look at percent of average precipitation, look at some of the Seattle Metro, between 50 and 70% of normal there. And again, some of these numbers are skewed and it doesn't take much to do so. But yeah, Washington, for example, below normal here over the last year. Now, this is the National Significant Wildland Fire Potential Outlook here. This was issued on May 1st. So I kind of cut a few things out of this here just to kind of, keep it a little bit short. But we are looking at some significant wildland fire potential here as we go on into the summer months. They mentioned periodic weather systems brought cooler conditions, brief localized rainfall, but consecutive days of significant rainfall were rare. Temperatures near average, precipitation across numerous areas of Oregon, eastern Washington was less than 50% of normal. Regional snowpack peaked in late March and declined through April. Aggressive snowmelt from near record levels in the southern Blue Mountains caused flooding in Burns, Oregon, along the Silvies River. Oregon snowpack remains 130 130 to 160% of median values and primarily above 5,000 feet, while Washington's snowpack lags significantly. The U.S. Drought Monitor shows little change since late March. Most of Oregon and Washington remain drought-free. Though moderate drought persists from the Washington Cascades west of the Puget Sound, initial attack activity remained minimal across the geographic region in April. So, Central Pacific Sea surface temperatures near average. We're looking at neutral conditions right now. I've done some videos on that as well. There's below normal precipitation forecast for Oregon. No strong signal for Washington. But again, at this time of year, we're not getting a lot of precipitation as well. So we're also looking at a higher likelihood of above normal temperatures from late May through August, highest probabilities in some of Oregon there. The North American monsoon, you don't hear a lot about that in the Pacific Northwest, but it can be a factor, especially with fire starts. And we do get monsoon moisture up here on occasion, but it does show below average lightning activity here across much of the Northwest. So that is a good thing, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get fires here, because a lot of fires are human caused anyway. So lightning activity remains uncertain. We're not quite sure how that's going to unfold, but again, maybe a little below normal there. And while near average lightning activity occurred last year, despite similar climate prediction outlooks and minimal monsoon influence, human caused fires rose above pre-COVID averages, a trend likely to continue this year. So this ultimately results in the Northwest being placed in above average significant wildland fire potential by August. So I'll show you some of the maps here in a moment. But yeah, by the time we get towards August, the entire region will have above normal significant fire potential as seasonal dryness accelerates. And you can see from April 1st, we are well below normal across virtually the entire Pacific Northwest, except some very small portions of western Montana and Idaho. But look at these, pretty substantially below normal here for the last month and a week here now, going on through May 8th. And so here's the significant wildland fire potential outlook for June 2025. You can see some of the east slopes of the Cascades, eastern Washington, in towards the Idaho Panhandle, northeast Washington as well. And here we go for July 2025, including some of eastern Washington, all of eastern Oregon, Washington, and much of Idaho also. And by the time we get towards August, virtually the entire Pacific Northwest is in that above normal wildland fire potential. So anyway, I think I already showed you that one there. Let's look at the 6 to 10 days. Still with that troughing around, we may be dealing with below normal conditions. And here's the 6 to 10 day, kind of a mixed bag here as well, but we'll be breaking those systems out one by one. So there's your first look at some of the fire danger potential this year. Don't like to see that above normal here. It's not a very scientific observation, but it does seem like over the last 10 years, maybe even more than that, we have definitely been dealing with more smoke, especially west of the Cascades. And yeah, hopefully, this year isn't going to be a repeat of some of that, what we've gotten here over the last 10 years. But anyway, the best we can do is just kind of see what kind of thunderstorm activity we get, what kind of fire starts we have. We'll be able to break that down on a daily basis. So stick with the channel here, and I'll go over some of that stuff as it does get closer. We still have some time, and who knows, maybe we'll end up wetter than normal and cooler than normal through this summer, and we won't have to worry about the fires too much. But anyway, yeah, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We will do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.